8th Advanced GMP Workshop 2023 being organized by IPA with a host of stakeholders' active participation. We have a list of extremely qualified speakers, both from the regulators' perspective as well as from industry speakers themselves. And I do hope that the worldwide participation, both in terms of speakers as well as in terms of the users, will bode well for our quality agenda. As has been brought out by both Mr. Sudarshan Jain and Mr. Nilesh Gupta, and as I'm sure others will also emphasize after me, we are at an inflection point when the future of India's brand as the pharmacy of the world and the future of India's share in the global value chain, which is an ever-growing one, lies on our ability to actually reconsider our approach and emphasize our unique proposition, which is providing medicines of high quality at scale at affordable cost. These three basic tenets of the Indian pharmaceutical industry are, in my opinion, non-negotiable, and the most important pillar or principle on which we need to focus attention, and that is what this workshop attempts to do, is that of quality. India is a highly competitive pharmaceutical market, and the regulatory oversight is spread over not just the federal regulator, that is the DCGI, but around 30 odd state level regulators. Therefore, the barriers to entry into the medicine manufacturing business have traditionally been rather low as compared to some of the other countries, notably the advanced economies. However, the low barriers to entry are a part of the general industrialization philosophy of the political economy and should not be confused as any kind of tolerance for passable or poor quality. Quality shall be and should be the hallmark of every entrant into the pharmaceutical industry and should be the effort of every existing stakeholder and manufacturer in this field. And I do hope that the emphasis on the good manufacturing practices in today's workshop, which is in a series of efforts being taken by IPA, but not restricted to IPA membership, but actually a service provided for the entire industry, will help to refocus our attention to quality. The government of India has, of course, been launching a number of initiatives to support domestic industry. Most of these initiatives have been in the sphere of improving investments into enhancing our domestic manufacturing capacity, in ensuring drug security by providing for indigenization of those bulk drugs and active pharmaceutical ingredients in which we do not have self-sufficiency. But of late, in the last year or so, there has been a clear emphasis of government policy and pronouncements on quality based on research and innovation. Unless we innovate, we cannot hope to maintain high quality at affordable costs. Quality is available across the world. However, our proposition of providing volumes, low cost and high quality requires that every member of the Indian pharmaceutical industry should be able to bring to bear the best in terms of innovation, professionalism, and manufacturing practices. You would be aware that there was an extremely important conference of state drug regulators way back in February 2023, which then led to a report provided by a committee which was chaired by me with DCGI as a key member, outlining a set of about 40-45 action points that need to be completed to ensure the highest adherence to quality as a byline in the industry. The regulatory framework is already in place, and these action points are now being rolled out one by one. There is much that the regulators will do, but there is equally as much that is expected from the industry. Our industry is quite heterogeneous. We have large manufacturers with global presence, but we also have very small companies, almost tiny units or small scale industries, which also contribute a lot of value to the market and also to the export market. And it is in this context that it is important for us to ensure that there are no variations in acceptable quality standards wherever the drug may be manufactured, whether in a large company with a 50-year-old history, with US FDA accreditation, or in a small MSME, which is barely 5 to 10 years old in the system. We have to ensure that our learnings on quality management percolate to every single member of the industry, particularly on the manufacturing side. Some of the items where we in our committee's report have emphasized, in addition, of course, to making good manufacturing practices mandatory over a period of time, is the need to institute simple but effective mechanisms for vendor verification. This has emerged as an important risk in a particular class of drugs, and therefore it is important that vendor verification be accepted as a necessary and desirable part of the quality management ecosystem in the country for the pharmaceutical industry. The second, I think, important area where we would like regulators and industry to work together is digitization of the data management of quality related data, which ensures that there is high degree of data integrity, data transparency, verification, and validation. This requires that all manufacturing units must be able to plug into one common uniform digital platform to provide data or store data related to quality tests, which can then be verified, monitored, assessed, evaluated, what have you, whenever it is required, and thereby create a repository of data which can be used, which can be mined, which can be analyzed to have continuous improvement based on risk identification. And the third aspect, which I believe is again going to be critical if we are to ensure GMP as the benchmark and the gold standard for Indian pharmaceutical industry across all players, is the need to focus on professional development. We do have a very strong talent pool in terms of researchers and pharmacists or analytical chemists. Developing this talent pool as a very high level of professionals with a very strong code of conduct and ethics, professional ethics, is going to be extremely important to translate whatever regulatory norms that are set up, whatever quality management systems that are created or established, to ensure that translates to the shop floor and is demonstrated or reflected in every SKU that comes out of a manufacturing unit. Again, whether it is in a small SME or it is in a large company. So there are, I believe, these three items which I would really expect industry to focus on. And I do hope that today's and tomorrow's workshop will focus on creating that kind of an ecosystem, that kind of infrastructure, and most importantly, that quality mindset in every member of the industry. The second thing that I would like to talk about is the fact that there are new emerging issues which will impact how far we are able to travel on the GMP agenda. Again, as is said for financial crisis or is now being said for health emergencies, we should not prepare for the last crisis or the last emergency. We have to ensure that the GMP that we are putting into practice focuses on emerging trends, whether it is digitization, whether it is the use of artificial intelligence, whether it is the growing automation and the use of robotics in manufacturing. And I'm happy to note that some of the speakers are going to be addressing these issues. We need to prepare our manufacturing sector, particularly the youth who are entering into the workforce, for a very different paradigm of manufacturing than what we have seen in the last 3 decades or so. Also, there are 2 other issues which are becoming more and more important. All of the participants must, of course, be aware of green manufacturing, and this is gaining more and more currency as time goes by. And you are aware that there are certain regions in the world which are adding premiums to ensure that the burden of climate change does not get transferred to the markets that are being served. So green manufacturing, focusing on zero discharge, these are going to be emerging areas, and GMP has to take into account these developments. The second emerging area, which again I believe is an issue that will be in front of us, perhaps before we are sufficiently prepared for it, is that of AMR. You would be aware that the Government of India in the Ministry of Environment and Forest has already flagged this, the manufacturing effluents, as one of the elements that contribute to growing incidence of antimicrobial resistance. This focus will only grow in times to come. Therefore, good manufacturing practices that focus on quality will also have to focus on emerging threats to the environment and in the form of AMR. I do hope that the workshop over the next few speakers and sessions, and I'm happy to note that we have the US FDA, we have our own Dr. Sarah Macmillan here, we have MHRA, we have very good speakers from industry, will be able to bring together these elements and provide a kind of a deep dive into all the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead of us. We do hope that the emphasis that government is giving to R&D and innovation will help to push forward the quality agenda. But the quality agenda is something that has to be maintained even if a particular manufacturing unit is only providing the routine generic output. So it is not that only those who are going into innovative products have to focus on quality. Even those who are serving the current generic market should be able to up their quality game. And I do hope that this kind of peer learning within the sector, learning across boundaries, will help all our manufacturers to achieve the best quality in terms of GMP. All of you would be aware, and I will close now, would be aware that the Government of India has a scheme for providing fiscal support to MSMEs which want to improve their in-factory infrastructure, equipments, etc., for achieving either WHO GMP or Schedule M GMP. And this fiscal support is available through SIDBI, SIDBI, on their website, as well as the guidelines for this scheme are available also at the website of Department of Pharmaceuticals. This is a small gesture on the part of the government to encourage and support MSME who have the noble intention of achieving GMP. It is not the complete budgetary or fiscal support, but it is a support for your own efforts. And I do hope that we will, after this workshop, see more participation in the scheme than we have seen till date. So with those words, I would wish the workshop its all success it deserves. It is on the right path. Thank you, IPA, for organizing this. Thank you for bringing together all industry partners across various associations and bringing a host of excellent speakers to address our participants. Thank you so much.